Mexico and Canada. Its northern neighbor was hit with a 25% tariff on all exports to the U.S., except for a lower 10% rate on energy and oil. Hours later, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau responded with a 25% levy on many American goods, solemnly saying, quote, "We didn't ask for this," unquote. Joining me now is Chrystia Freeland. She served as Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister under Trudeau until she resigned in December. Her move helped bring down Trudeau's premiership. She's now one of the front runners to replace him in 43 pounds coming out
17,000 Mexico.
And 20,000 pounds coming out of Mexico. So what you've negotiated with Donald Trump before.
Madness. It is a betrayal of America's closest friend, of your ally, your neighbor, your best partner in the whole world. It is an act of economic warfare, and the president was clear just this morning that it is a direct attack on our sovereignty. And I have to tell you, Fareed, Americans are going to be astonished by the Canadian response. We're hurt, for sure, because we're your friends and neighbors, but most of all, we're angry, and we are united and resolute. You know, Canada is the true north, strong and free. We love our country, and we are united, we are strong, we're smart, we're going to fight for our country, we're going to fight for Canada, and we're going to be successful. Market for the United States, larger than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. And we know Americans. We know that for you guys, the customer is always right. We're your biggest customer. Doesn't make a lot of sense to be punching us in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
The second thing for
I support that.
very well is America's tariffs are self-harming. You know,
Yep.
putting tariffs on the stuff that Canada sells you, you are going to hurt Americans. You have put a tariff, you're putting a tariff on the oil and gas that we sell you. That is going to make prices at the pump, prices at grocery stores a lot higher. And the final thing for Reed is this matters to us so much more than it matters to you. Our very sovereignty is at stake.
Yeah, one of the things we can do to fight back is to invest in China and Mexico, because that will make our country better. Plus, if the Canadian dollar drops to, say, 25 cents per hundred, that will counteract the tariffs as well. So I think we need to support China more.
Fareed, we have so many friends and even family members in the United States. Our preference and our hope is that you guys are going to come to your senses. Our preference and our hope is that we can go back to a win-win North American partnership. I mean, currently our trade should be governed by the USMCA, which we negotiated with President Trump. When we signed that deal, he said it was the best trade deal ever. So what we really want is for all the Americans who are listening to say, what the heck is going on? You mean we're fighting with the Canadians? And to get back to a reasonable, mutually beneficial relationship. That is our preference. I mentioned the boycott because that is already happening across the country.
Yeah, we'll charge you more money for oil too, you American scumbags.
And frankly, how furious Canadians are. Our sovereignty is being challenged. And so, yeah, regular Canadians across the country are coming up with ways to stand for Canada, to fight for Canada, to defend Canada, but mostly to say to our American neighbors, guys, just cut it out. Just stop it. This is a terrible idea. And yes, we are going to use all the tools in our toolbox. You mentioned a little bit earlier how the United States depends on China for critical minerals and metals that you need for semiconductors, that you need to build electric vehicles. Well, guess who also produces those? Canada. You depend on us for a lot, and we are happy to work together, but it's got to be a two-way street.
So you did negotiate.
Canada is total strength, total unity, and a very smart surgical strategic approach.
Now, you're thinking we're entering, a kind of a much less prosperous world, because, I mean, economics is meant to be about win-win, not win-lose. This almost feels like lose-lose, because both economies, the US and Canada, will be worse off after all this.
Look, you're totally right. The path the U.S. is on right now is a lose-lose path. And at the end of the day, you cannot defy the laws of economics. You're exactly right to say the people who are going to suffer from this the most are Americans, including the Americans who voted for Trump. I mean, the president has decided now to make gas in the United States more expensive. He's decided to make groceries in the United States more expensive. And our retaliation is going to cost Americans jobs. That it's completely ridiculous. We do not want to do this. And the right thing for Americans to do right now is to kind of shake their heads and say, guys, the Canadians actually are great partners. They're great neighbors. Let's not do this, because I want to tell you, Canada is formidable. We are resolute. We are determined. We know what we're fighting for. We don't want to have this fight, but we are not going to lose it.
And